Welcome back to the Patient Magnet Podcast. My name is Jared Rohr. I'm the CEO and founder of Aesthetic Conversion, a web and SEO agency specifically for the field of medical aesthetics. And in the Patient Magnet Podcast, we're talking all about how to attract new attention to your business, convert that attention into a paying patient, and then have that patient come back for years and years to come. And joining me today, we have my good friend Izhak, who owns an amazing company called Get Kudos. And we're going to talk about how to increase that retention rate, how to get people coming back over and over and over for years to come. Because transparently, Izhak, when I talk to clients that I have about their retention rate, the big things that I always encourage them to do is like, oh, you should do events. Oh, you should do e-blasts to your list, text blasts to your list. I don't always think of referral programs, nor do I have a lot of, because if I'm right, Get Kudos is primarily like a referral type program for patients referring other patients. Is that right?
Well, it's funny that you say it. One of the first kind of like tagline that I thought to put for Get Kudos, and we changed it to this point, right? It's kind of like operate with powered by loyalty, driven by data. But
That's
it
cool.
used to be the first thing that I wanted to call it was actually patient appreciation platform, because that's really what it's all about. It's ability to give incentives and incentivize positive activity that benefit your practice, your business,
Yeah.
and show appreciation to your patients who help you to support that growth. And
Yeah.
so it's primarily focused on that. It's really everything that is moving in between, whether it's to get them to come back more often, spend more money, bring their friends, come back
Yeah.
to your office events. You can even give them incentives for that to come, to show up, so you can increase the show up rate and even spend more money during that event. So it goes to almost tackle all of those areas.
That is awesome. Now, I want people to know a little bit about your CV, about your history, because Izhak he is one of the secret puppeteers behind the whole industry. So he is, yeah, you laugh, but I'm telling you, I see, there's so many times that I see like, oh, wow, this incredible conference. And then I'll see you on the board of directors, or, oh, this amazing event's happening. And I'll see Izhak running something or speaking somewhere. He is a very trusted ear and advisor to the industry. What's a little bit about your background, whether it's in this space or just in general?
Yeah, I'll start. Well, the general one, I'm coming from the tech space, really built my own computer when I was 13. And from
Awesome.
there on, just kept playing with computers, network, and internet
Yeah.
the rest of my life, pretty much. And so that is kind of like the backbone. Within that, I'm also an entrepreneur. So at age 16, I already started my first business, right? And started to
Cool.
write business plans. And so I always had that kind of like fire in and entrepreneurship and tech stack. Obviously, on the other hand, it's a great combination to create
Of
things. And
course.
so I always like to create platforms to solve problems. And so the first platform that I created in aesthetics, and that's how I started in aesthetics actually, was Atlas KPIs. It was the first business
Oh.
intelligence dashboard for aesthetic practices. We
Hmm.
analyzed hundreds of aesthetic practices. That's even how I got the chance to learn the in and out of what is the areas of weaknesses to a lot of those practices. And actually, the same reason why after we sold Atlas KPI, I started Medical PRM, which was a lead
Hmm.
management platform. At that point, I already had a background of like Salesforce admin, HubSpot admin, and a lot of
Yeah.
other tech stuff. But I realized that no matter if I can analyze all the data in the world for practice, if they don't call back to a lead that called them or schedule an appointment on the website or just put a contact form, what's the point of all the rest of the KPIs, right? It's like clearly the
Yeah.
lowest hanging fruit. So a little bit more in the background. So obviously the tech side, I had Atlas KPI, sold Medical PRM, sold it to Simplast.
Hmm.
I ran with them for about a year
Oh,
and a
cool.
half, chief product officer, chief revenue officer, helped them to do a lot of the product fit and grow the sales efforts. Then from there, I joined Terry Ross for Apex Platform as a
She's
co-CEO.
awesome. Yeah, she's
We had a
awesome.
great successful run. We merged that with Engage Technologies, nowadays known
Hmm.
as Clarity, more for educational platform for patients coming to practices and need to learn more about the procedures. And earlier this year, launched Get Kudos, which is really to
Yeah.
help with the second opportunity I've already seen and recognized when I was analyzed data through Atlas KPI.
Hmm.
Practices fail on both ends of the funnel. One is on the top to handle the leads, which I think
Yeah.
now it's starting to get a little bit better with Go Eye Level shows
Yeah.
up everywhere. There is
Yeah.
more options, but then they also do a horrible job at the back of the funnel. After they
Right.
got the patient as a patient, now what? And that's really
Yeah.
what Get Kudos is all about. It's to
Yeah.
handle the back of the funnel. And so, in
Yeah.
addition to that, I'm also the co-founder of the 4S Summit, which is part of the Aesthetic
That's right.
Success Group.
Which is awesome.
And
Which is
yeah,
huge.
we love it. And
Yeah.
in December, we're going to have here in Fort Lauderdale again. And also I have IZM Consulting, this is how I'm getting involved with a lot of different companies in this space, do a lot of consulting and guidance to primarily tech companies, but different innovations as well.
And on top of that, you're just a really nice guy. On top of that,
Thanks.
there's always that phrase, like there's always people saying, oh, don't meet your heroes or whatever. And there's been plenty of times that I've met people that I admire from a business standpoint from afar, and I meet them in person and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could just keep the old picture I had of them. You just get better and better every time I get to know you. So it's
I
very,
appreciate that.
and
Thanks.
yeah, and I'm not just saying it. I genuinely admire you more and more every time we get to talk, because you have this heart to build people around you and build things around you and add value to things around you. And you could tell, I think, I've always said that I'm not money motivated. I'm not power motivated. I am impact motivated, and there's no shade to anybody who's money motivated. People who are money motivated, I see the way they work and I'm like, God, I wish I had that, because they're crushing. Or if they're power motivated, I see the way they network and I see the way that they leverage relationships around them. And I'm like, God, that's so impressive. But I'm not. If I know I can help somebody, it'll get me out of bed in the morning. And I see that with you, and I resonate with certain people
Same exact.
like that. I see a lot of that with you. Similar with, I see that with Terry. I see that with a lot of the people that you surround yourself with. So I'm very excited about the Get Kudos platform. And just to touch on that point you made earlier, is I agree with you that clinics, I think I always say you have to get an A+ in 3 classes to win as a business owner. You have to get an A+ in your marketing class. You got to get an A+ in your sales class and an A+ in your product delivery class, where basically you're fulfilling on the promises you made in these 2 classes. And clinic owners generally, we have lots of training available in the States, and they do a decent job across the board on delivering the service. It's marketing and sales that they stink at. And in Get Kudos case, it's a remarketing. It's taking that existing list and cycling them back through the funnel. But practice owners, what's that?
Let me add you one more element that I think that
Yeah.
they need to get an A+, especially nowadays as the industry continue to grow. So you
Mm-hmm.
probably know we are right now stands on around 11,000 med spas in the US.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Yeah.
going to get by 2030, which is only 5 years away, not even 5 years at this point, we're going to surpass the 15,000, which
Yeah.
that means for every 2 med spas that we know now, there's going to be one additional.
Right.
That's a
Right.
massive additional competition. You think
Yeah.
about the additional providers, 3 providers per med spa,
Right.
that's another 15,000 providers.
Right.
That's a lot more competition for people. And so I think that really what differentiates successful practices who know potentially how to convert really well, do marketing very good, a lot of people coming through the door and everybody knows about them, and even can do the best services. My opinion, experience is the key. Patient
Huge.
experience
Yeah.
covers all the bases of everything.
Huge.
And I even say to people when we speak about Get Kudos, I'm like, loyalty program without an amazing experience, not going to fly. You can have the best loyalty
Correct.
program, but if people don't like the experience at your place, they're not going to come back.
It's
And
true.
the comeback means spend more money, pay premium, leave you more margins.
Yeah.
It touch all the way straight to the profitability. And I think that is, to me, the number one element on all businesses, regardless, even just aesthetics.
Experience. Yeah, that's huge. Now, when you started Get Kudos, what are some of the pain points that you saw that you were saying, hey, this could solve this? What are some of the big things that you're seeing with practice owners in general that you're saying, man, they just don't know how to, whatever it is, have a good retention rate. They don't know how to show love to their patients. What were some of those pain points that you saw that were common amongst clinics?
It's funny that you ask. So I'll start with, it's actually an industry stat, right? And so industry stat says, and I think it's come from the MSPA report of the industry, the retention rate among aesthetic practices is 50%. That means that when they can crash it on the marketing side and crash it on the conversion side and get the sales in and maybe do the best performing of services, but the only 1 out of 2 patients that they're going to see going to come back.
And
that's
this 50% is across the industry. This is not the best ones.
No. That's across the industry. The best ones actually, and I analyzed some P&Ls of aesthetic practices that generate over 40% EBITDA, which considered to be the top 3 in the US.
Yeah.
I can tell you that they spend very little on marketing. The experience is amazing and the retention surpassed the 70-75%.
Whoa.
People just keep coming back, bring their friends, and some of those, even when we put for them Get Kudos, all of a sudden you see the difference between non-loyal customer to loyal customer, which both of them are happy customers, but the loyal customer will spend between 2 to 4 times more just because
Whoa.
you give them a reason. And
Oh my
that's really
gosh.
what the Get Kudos is all about. It's to give people a reason to stay top of mind. Like there was a lot of places that I went and I really liked the food and I really liked the service and I really liked
Right.
everything about it, right? And I left and forgot about the place. And when
Right.
next time I feel like, oh, let's go to some place, am I going to go to a brand new place that I never tried before? Because that's also exciting, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they would just give me a reason to remember them or to come back or to tell my friends about them, I would do it. So I would
Yeah.
say before even the data of the practices, it's all started from personal experience. That's the truth of it. And I tell sometimes the story, right? It's actually on some bar here in Miami that was elected to be one of the top bars in the US, which was happened to be 5 minutes drive from my house. And I had
Mm-hmm.
no idea that the places even exist. So on the marketing
Whoa.
side, massive fail. My neighbor
Mm-hmm.
told me about it because a friend of his from California told him about it that he read in some little
Some
magazine
article.
about it or some
Yeah.
Reddit or something. Yeah.
Yep.
And so we went over there and it was a blast. It was
Mm.
amazing. The drink was art state of the art, kind of like Japanese concept. And
Yeah.
they give you like free shots with different drinks and you don't even need to ask. So you're like,
It's
wow,
awesome.
you constantly on that wow
Huge.
factor, right? Wow
Yeah.
factor is the second like element for the amazing experience. And we left the place and I was like, I don't even know how the place called. I know how to get there now. So I wanted to tell more friends about it, but it wasn't easy. They didn't make it
Mm.
easy for me. I
Yeah.
wanted to go back, but next time I was there, it was already packed. So I was like, okay, maybe next time, then totally forget about the place until I get the
Yeah.
chance to speak about the place in those kind of podcasts or on the stage and so. But I felt that there is a real missing piece for local businesses that do an amazing service and want their patients or customers to come back
Yeah.
more often, to bring their friend, to put reviews about them, to speak highly about them and remember them. And so that is really the reason for all of it. It's this engine that will continue to stay top of mind because it's
Yeah.
something that they like and they want to do more and they need to do more ultimately when it comes to aesthetics.
Now, earlier you said a loyal client will spend somewhere around 2 to 4 times what a non-loyal client is. A loyal client and a retained client the same thing? Somebody who is retained is okay. So,
Yes.
not only increasing retention rate just keeps the same people coming back, but those same people are also spending a significant amount more money on average as well.
That is exactly correct.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Think
if the
about it. I'll give you the
yeah
comparison that I always use. Think about the airlines, right?
yeah
Airlines is the best. All of us have loyalty points. But once you
that's
get
right.
that upgrade, once you get the status, that is your brand.
It's
That's
true.
the company you're going to fly way more.
That's
And you're
true.
going to spend way more money.
It's true.
Just the way it is.
Now, uh, if the average across the country is 50%, is that the number retention rate? Is that the number that an average clinic should shoot for? Hey, you should try to hit at least 50%. What kind of retention rate should clinics be shooting for on average?
I would say at the very least 65. 65
65%.
will move their needle a lot. It will allow them those
Mm-hmm.
margins. And again, that's on the retention. I really think that on the loyalty side, to exactly the point that you brought before, the profitability, it's the name of the game. It's the name of
Yeah.
the game to stay in business. It's the name of the game to deliver a superior service because you have that funding that you can play with and you're not just trying to survive all the time and you need to do the bare minimum
Yep.
of give like a cup of water instead of a bottle, right?
Right.
It's a small money, but accumulates over the years. So when you don't need to think about saving that money because you charge more and you charge premium and people are happy to come and spend it and bring their friends to come and spend it, and you
Mm-hmm.
then spend less on marketing, your profitability spikes up. And so
Mm.
retention is one. So if you can retain them to come back and not lose them and go somewhere else is one. You can get them to come back more often instead of 3 times, 4 times a year. And then you can get
Right.
them to spend instead of 600,
Huge.
800 because they like your skincare and they trust you and they want to try other services because you're suggesting it to them or you give them an incentive to try a new device that you bought in. They will be the first one to come and spend the money. And so
That is,
that
yeah,
is
it's
how
huge.
that's exactly how he plays. It's all about the numbers at the end of it, but it becomes so much more fun to run the business when your patients
Mm-hmm.
are happy and loyal and it's the same ones and you
Yeah.
don't just
And when you
run
know who
after the
those
ball.
people are, it's huge. I saw Julie Davis do a lecture one time. She was doing it on behalf of Podium, and what she did blew my mind. I was like, "You little genius!" She identified all of her retained patients, all of her loyal patients, and she was considering purchasing let's just call it a Cyton or a Morpheus 8. I don't know if those are exactly, but she was deciding
Yeah.
between two devices. And she was deciding between, let's say, Cyton and Morpheus 8. She sent out a text to her loyal patients saying, hey, Cyton does this, Morpheus 8 does this. Which one of those would you want to see us bring on? And they took votes, and whoever, whatever won the vote, they purchased, and then they remarketed to that same list and immediately booked out the device for the next month and a half from
Brilliant.
just sending out oh, okay, great. And you get an introductory offer with this, whatever. But it was because she knew who those loyal patients were. I think she was tracking their NPS, their net promoter score within Podium or within their CRM. I'm not exactly sure where she was tracking it, but she was sending it out to all of her high NPS
Now,
patients.
it's funny that you say NPS, because at Get Kudos, that's really the beginning of the flow of the platform. Start from satisfaction survey. You can do NPS, which is would you recommend these friends and family about this place? Or you can do the CSAT, which is those smiley faces that normally more applicable to what we do because it's transactional. It's an experience of this time. And the next time may going to be a different experience, right? So it's a little bit less holistic, but it's more specific to that experience. And that's how we start the flow, because if they're not super happy, I'm not going to speak with them about loyalty and give them a reason to come back. I'm going to speak about what is it that we need to do to improve, and then give them a reason to come back to show them that I can improve it.
Right.
And so it's totally different handling, but it's all start from satisfaction.
For everyone listening, NPS stands for Net Promoter Score. Anytime you have gotten a survey on a website, or you've gotten a text, or you've gotten at the end of an engagement with a store, and they say, how satisfied are you with our service on a scale of, how likely are you to recommend us on a scale of 1 to 10? And then you say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, do they want to know how often people would love to recommend them? I'm sure. What they're actually doing is they're assigning you a point value. If you say anything 7 and up, 8 and up, they're like, oh my gosh, Jared loves us. We want to give Jared discount opportunities. We want to give Jared invites to events. We want to give Jared things because we know Jared is highly likely to tell his friends about us. So the Net Promoter Score allows you to identify the core group of people that will promote your business. So NPS, I can't sing enough praises about it. If you can identify that as a clinic, NPS is going to change the game for you. And so having some sort of and CSAT, right, stands for customer satisfaction. So that'll be like the little happy faces all the way down to a frowny face. But the people who are on the happy face side are the ones that you target for extra opportunities and extra events that they can come to. And it sounds like, so Get Kudos, the whole process starts with identifying some of those net promoters some of those satisfied customers.
Yeah. So we have two entrances into the platform, right? One of them, it's if you do like website or email campaigns or social media, or even inside the treatment room, I'm assuming that if you scan that, you're already happy, right? And so I'm just going to enroll you into the reward program that gives you all those incentives to do different activities. It's almost like a game that you're unlocking incentives that ultimately going to get you to come back to the practice and spend money. That's the main name of the game, right?
Right.
But if you are at the checkout point, right, and you did not scan on any of our other platform and you're not inside the system, I'll say, do you mind to scan this and let us know how we do today? That will take you through the survey. And then that's how I'm going to intelligently flow you into how to handle you. If you're super upset, I'm going to have the manager call you.
Exactly.
Right?
It's a different
I don't want
flow.
you to go to Google and speak badly about my business.
Exactly.
So it's preventing a lot of negative reviews. It saves. Those are the retention opportunities, right? The happy people, give them a reason they will come back, spend more, bring friends. But the less happy people, those are retention opportunities. You want everybody to become advocates. There is a great book called Raving Fans, right? Or there is a million books about it. It's a game changer. And again, like I said, it's a game changer, not because just of how more fun it's going to come to the practice and everybody already know you and create relationship with your patients. So become almost like growth partner to some degree, right? They help you and they want to support you and they speak about you, but it's also become profitable. The profitability moves. People don't even understand how much the profitability, the EBITDA, that bottom line, the expenses are shrinking down, revenue goes up with the same amount of patients. And that is the key.
Awesome. That is awesome. Now, for all of our other viewers and listeners, a retained patient would be somebody who comes back a second time, or is it just somebody? How do we identify that retained patient? What's the yes, this person's officially loyal?
So the thumb rule for med spa, right? Let's call it med spa non-surgical practice. The thumb rule is a patient needs to come between 3 to 4 times. In
Got
reality,
it.
most patients come between 2 to 3 times. In the very good practices, they come 3. In the very averages, they come 2. In the
Per
list,
year.
as we know, they only came once a year. And so in Get Kudos, really the effort that we try to put is if your average is currently 2, we're going to try to take it to 3. And we're only going to, and we're not going to promise you the world, right? We're not going to be able to bring 100% of your patient. We normally can bring 20, 30% of the patients. Now, if we do know that your revenue, 80% of your revenue is based from 20% of your patients, and I challenge all practices, go do the exercise. I've done that on hundreds of practices. More successful and less successful, it's always the same. 20% of the patients generate 80% of the revenue. If I can make that 20 to grow into 25, game changer for the practice.
Of course.
And
If you could beef up
really
that
what we
core
try
group.
to do.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's
And that's what
incredible.
we try. Yeah.
So, in general, what clinics should be striving for is first identifying that retention rate. Can they track that in their EMR usually? Your EMR is usually
Retention
going to
rate
tell
is
you
hard.
what your time.
Yeah, retention rate is, some VMRs are very tricky to analyze that because
Yeah.
not a lot of them are supporting whether your patients are active or turning inactive. It's a module that I built in the EMR that I've worked in the past. Most other EMRs don't do it. So you do need to do some work in Excel and realize when was the last appointment? Did they come back again or not? And I suggest to start with the proper expectation, because if you want to take it even deeper, and again, I'm now putting a little bit more of my data hat, and I hope I'm not going to overwhelm
This is
people,
great.
right?
This is great because they're going to want to know how to track this.
Right. So if you track surgical or non-surgical patients, you want to break it down by the different services. So if there are neurotoxins, you would expect them to come at least 3 times a year. 4 times, it's also definitely reasonable. Every quarter, right? Every 3 months, it's 4 times a year. But if they are on a laser, skin tightening, or different type of services that you need to do every 6 months, right, you may be going to want to bring them twice. Now that's where you start to apply different mechanism, right? Like you implementing shape scale in your practice, give them a reason to come back more often to buy skincare, or put a mini site for them to buy a skincare, right? But you still don't want it to be the only time that you are transacting with them. So even then, there is other ways to get them to come back more to the office, right? Come back, try different services that will get them to come back more often. Stuff like that. Those are when you start to use more different mechanism, but then you have a better expectation to your retention rate. So you know how often I really expect Jared to come back to my office, and I'll know it based on what service you took. And that's really, and I'll touch a lot of what we preach at the 4S, and to me, Terry is the queen of that, the leader of that, is the treatment plans. Treatment plans saves 80% of the run. Treatment plans, if somebody adopted into a treatment plan, and I don't know any of the practice management today do conversion rate, not from a consult to patient, but from patient to treatment plan. And I think that should be the true goal of all practices, is to convert the consultation into a treatment plans, because then they're handling a lot of the retention, the average ticket average, all of those stuff are getting handled right there and then. Ultimately, it doesn't discount any of the experience that you still going to need to deliver, right? And that's what's going to help you to get then the referrals and move the engine better.
Yeah. Now, a decent way, or at least probably a decent first step for people, if they're trying to figure out how to track their retention rate, could even be to start with rebooking rate, right? Like how well we are getting people from the initial patient appointment to book that next one. A rebooking rate is fairly simple to track. Every day you just say, John came in. Did John book another appointment? No, he did not. Great. We had 20 people total and 10 rebooked. That means we have a 50% rebooking rate on average today. So that's a simple way to like track, so you can see at least what the rebooking rate. Now, are they showing up? Those are other things that you probably are they canceling on average? Like you want to track those things as well. But rebooking rate is at least like probably a simple way where if you don't know how to pull the reports from your EMR or whatever, and you don't want to go through the headache, you could probably start at least with rebooking rate. That way you can see on average people are coming back for the procedures that you're recommending them for, or they're upselling.
Let me throw a little wrench into that, or it's maybe even actually an advice more than a challenge. Most practices leave the rebook to the front desk at the checkout time.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
I'm a big believer that it's a huge missed opportunity.
The provider
I
needs
think
to do
the
it.
provider there and then, before they leave the room,
Correct.
that will take them to 90% rebook rates
I agree.
versus a 40% they will see from the front desk. So
Or at
I would
minimum, provider walks them to the front desk and says, "Hey Jess, we just treated John, and he's coming back in 4 months to do another session of talks." And then Jess says, "Okay, excellent, great. John, does this date work for you?" And John says, "Oh yes, the doctor tells me. The provider, of course, I'm coming right in." Uh,
exactly.
I totally agree.
Ideally, nowadays, everybody have the iPad, they have the
Yeah,
calendar right in their hand in the room. They can close it right there and then. And I think
right,
that patients appreciate it more. The doctor appreciate the worst thing that you want to do, and happened to me with other practices, right? Not aesthetic practices. Doctor says, okay, I want to see you in 2 weeks. You go to the front desk. Oh, he's busy in 2 weeks. There is only in a month and a half from now. And you're like,
right.
well, it's contradict what he said. He wanted to see me. Now I'm not sure I can. It's too far away, right?
Yeah, of
It
course.
creates that confusion, and that's a friction. And that's
Mm,
that's how exactly you hurt patient experience.
yeah.
Frictionless, it's the magic.
I see some people do the rebooking while they're like numbing before the treatment. Is they'll come while the person's numbing, the MA will come in and say, "Hey, by the way, while you're numbing, let's just knock out some of these other things so you can get right out of here." And they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. Great. So you're going to need a follow-up appointment in a couple months with this," or whatever they want to say, however they do it, but they'll do it during like numbing, to just A, kill the time, but B, the person's sitting there ready to go and they're so far having a great time.
100%.
Because you don't know how someone's going to feel. Somebody might get needles in their face and then be like, puking or sick and like, I'm never doing this again. And it's like, yeah, maybe you think that now, but in 4 months, it's going to be outweighed by the wrinkles you see on
Mhm.
your forehead. So sometimes prior to the traumatizing experience for some of being injected, to rebook that. Now,
Love
okay.
it.
So tracking your rebook. So first and foremost, tracking your rebooking rate or learning how to track your retention rate is critical for you to have
Critical.
a highly engaged audience. And I'll tell you too. And I say this all the time. He's a good friend of mine. His name's in fact, no, I won't say his name on the podcast. I will say his name on stage when I teach this point. A good friend of mine had a giant audience. I think he had something like 9,000 people on his list of previous patients during his whole career. And he called me and said, "Jared, you're a good marketer, right?" I said, "I like to think that I know about marketing." And he said, "Well," he goes, "my books, I've got no one on my books." I said, "Well, how big's your list?" He was like, "My list." I said, how many previous patients do you have in a database that you could send a text or an email out to right now?" He goes, "Oh, like 9,000." And I was like, "Buddy, you could be booked for the next 2 years with that big of a list." I was like, "Do they not like you or something?" He goes, "No." I was like, "How often do you reach out to them?" He goes, "Never." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, dude."
Exactly.
I think previous patients is the biggest gold mine of new appointments, of fresh appointments that clinics have
100%.
access to. Most just don't take advantage of their existing audience. It's way more expensive to go get a new lead than it is just to leverage an
Wait now.
existing patient.
Uh, b- Actually, between 10 times more it costs you to get brand new patient versus just
It'll
retaining a happy one.
And if you retain it, you increase the profitability by 2 to 4. So you could either pay 5 to 10 times more, or you could make 2 to 4 times more. You choose.
Exactly.
You choose. So step one, let's track that retention rate. Let's talk specifically about. I'd love to talk specifically about how Get Kudos works and how it beefs up that retention rate. What kind of the fulcrums that you're turning in order to bump up. People that are coming more often. They're coming for different things more often. They're feeling empowered. What are some of those kind of fulcrums that you guys are turning that are getting the patient to engage higher?
Yeah. So first we operate through text messaging, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we make it seamless to the patient, which means that they don't need to download an app. They don't need to remember a password and usernames. There is no
Oh,
hassle on their
cool.
end. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
super
It's
simple.
all
Once
just
they
done
scan
through a
the
quick
QR code,
text.
said I'm happy, put my name and phone number. Ultimately, we suggest already to the practice right there and then give them a branded gift. Like give them a bag for your cosmetic stuff, right? Something that they will be able to carry back to their car and then carry it back to their home and think about it and get excited about it because
That's
they're going to
cool.
soon get another text message that's either going to tell them, don't forget to leave us a review or don't forget to bring friends next time you come. And here is an
Yeah,
incentive to bring them, or just going to be like, hey, Jared, we miss you. It's been 3 months.
yeah,
Here is something cool that you can come back and use, right? Or we're waiting
right.
for you with a gift. Come say hi or anything like that. So I say we optimize it. We do have kind of like, I say, it's a plug and play solution, especially for
Hmm.
aesthetics. They can buy today, start to use it tomorrow with our best practices.
Yeah.
I like to take the time and understand a little bit better the practice and who are their audiences. And because it's a lot of the things that we also teach. If you don't know who you target, you're going to get random stuff.
Of course.
You're not going to be able to keep them loyal if you have super random type of audiences, right? You really need to
Mm-hmm.
appeal to them. And so once you understand better their audience, then you customize those incentives to talk to them. So if you go
Mm-hmm.
on the older generation, you're going to offer less cool stuff, and you're going to phrase it also in the less emojis and less things that will
Oh,
get them confused. Super
I love an
simple,
emoji.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I hate those ChatGPT emojis. I
It's
see
because
them
you're
way
old.
too
It's because you're
often
so
now.
old. It's because you're
I
just.
know. And it's because it's always the same emojis for everybody too. It's like,
It's true. The
make it weird.
ChatGPT emojis, I can't stand. I'm with you on that.
No, yeah, all those star, right? The little star.
Mm-mm.
And if they have a younger generation that excited more about like the Botox and super small ticket
Yeah.
stuff, then we appeal to them in a different way. A lot of
Yeah.
time, it also has to do with their margins, with their current margins, so they don't give the house and just
Yeah.
go bankruptcy and lose money on patients. The goal is always to make money on patients, and so and for not in order to reap them, in order for the business to be a business. We're in business to make money. That's
Yeah.
period, right? Whether how much you
Mm-hmm.
love money or less money doesn't matter.
You
But
gotta
in your
make. Yeah.
business, even if you're a non-profit type of business, you still need to make money, or else you're not going to stay around. And
Mm-hmm.
so your margins are key. And so we work on that when you think about incentivize, because I've seen a lot of time, even people out totally outside of Get Kudos, and I've seen that mistake a lot. They will go and spend a lot of money on the ads. Then they will push an ads that give a massive discount on a
Mm.
very low margin. Let's say like
Yeah.
injectables, for example, very low margin, and book it on one of the top high paid provider that they have.
Right.
And guess what happened on that first appointment? They lost money, a
They
lot
went
of it.
backwards. Yep.
And
Backwards.
if they got two patients, only one of them is going to come back.
It's true.
So they lost a lot of money
It's
right there.
true.
And it's going to take them at least another 2, 3 appointments from there with the one that they retained, assuming that they retained, to recap back what they just lost on that campaign.
Mm.
So not enough people do all the analysis to understand what is the cost of sale and including inside the cost of the marketing portion, which
Yeah.
should be significant. That's the way to grow. There is no other
Right.
magic for people to hear about you, know about you, and come to you and be excited about it. That's the main one that you should use is the marketing on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't activate your organic growth from within, from your happy patient, to your point,
Yeah.
9,000 patients least, this
Yeah.
person never need to spend money on marketing ultimately. It can be booked.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen practices booked for over 6 months and a year ahead.
Wow. Now, is your platform, so your platform is texting patients, but it's not necessarily a two-way texting platform. That's not the
It's a
purpose of it,
one-way
right?
texting.
That's what I
Right.
thought.
It's a
Okay. So it's
one-way
just sending out,
texting.
hey, thank you so much. Make sure that, it's a short code text that goes out to them that says, thanks for
Exactly.
coming
They
to
get a link.
XYZ Med
They
Spa.
can access the portal. They have a portal where they can choose to go to the portal or doesn't. It doesn't really matter at all. If they
Mm-hmm.
choose to go into the portal, normally they're more engaged. They want to see it's more gamifying. What can I unlock? What other incentives? And
Mm-hmm.
in regardless, we will work it for them and for the practice to get them
Got
back
it.
again and keep
Okay.
sending them more without spamming them, of course, right? With TCPA compliance. So we don't spam them. We don't do
Of
it on
course.
the weekends and nights and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
we only sending them because they asked for it.
Yeah.
And it's a positive messages. They're excited. They see the message. It makes them want to come back. And ultimately, we are a fairly young company, right?
Mm-hmm.
We launched it earlier this year, did a lot of proof of concept. We made massive impact. We have testimonials and case
Cool.
studies of practices
Awesome.
that are just raving
Loving
fan
it.
how excited
I
their
love
patients
it. That's
are. And
great.
so that is the
That's
good sign
awesome.
for us to know that it's make a difference.
It's huge. Now, what kind of referral rewards, what kind of like incentives are you seeing work really well within clinics right now? Is it just earn this amount of points and get this kind of discount, kind of like what you would, get with a point system with other organizations, or is it get these points and cash it in for a skincare product, or what kind of things are you seeing work really well for engaging that audience?
You touch probably the most sensitive point that it is exciting referral programs with inside
Yeah.
healthcare practice.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people come with the perception or assumption that the anti kickback is applied to all.
Right.
And anti kickback is mainly trying to cover insurances, right? Medicaid, Medicare, trying to make sure people don't scam that system. In addition to that, there is another law called Stirk law. And I'm not a lawyer, so this is not any way, shape, or form legal advice or legal type of conversation. I'm telling you what I know doing it long enough at this point, and just this is my business at this point.
Yeah.
And so the Stirk law is way more strict and applies to all, regardless whether you have insurance or not. In addition to that, I would say that so So that always ultimately create a vary between different states and what they can offer based on their practice. If your
Okay.
practice is 100% insurance, you cannot offer any referral program, period, end of story.
Oh,
But if
wow.
you have a portion that it's a cash base, if you have skincare, if you have different things, there is many ways to offer that.
Do you have
It's
to
actually,
separate that section of the business out, like as a separate LLC, in order to be legally allowed to, as long as it's cash based and you're not redeeming insurance, you're fine?
there is few more asterisks to it. And again, it's a state-based and practice services based. And that's why
Yeah.
we partner with a law firm, actually the largest law firm in aesthetics.
Yeah.
Every new client that comes to join Get Kudos, get a 30 minutes conversation with them to go over the referral program and make
Yeah.
sure that they're kosher, that they don't do anything that shouldn't be done in their state and
Yeah.
fits to their profile, right? So, and they feel comfortable with it. I wouldn't have
Okay.
asked from practices. I can tell you that the most common one, now we close that, right? With all
Now
those,
that we have the big asterisk in
right?
front of
All
it,
the
like, hey,
asterisks,
you
I'll say,
first and foremost, you got to do it legally. Now, here's what works if you are
right.
doing it legally.
Here is what I've seen most practices do, regardless to the state that they're in, regardless to their specialties, and regardless to how much insurance they have, whether it's good, kosher, not, legal or not, I'll leave it to them and their lawyer that
Okay.
advises to them.
Okay. Yeah.
But what most of them do that seems to be the most common that works almost like magic, $50 per side. I'll give you
Okay.
50
Yeah.
bucks. You
That
come to spend it. When you
same.
go to the practice, I
Yeah.
get my $50. By far, it's the best playbook. I've seen it work a million times for many
Cash
practices.
too, not discounts. Cash works. Cash
Cash works.
motivates.
Cash works. Here is a $50. Go spend it over there. That is the best. And then you get kickback your $50, which we're not going to
And
call
then
it kickback.
yeah, that 50 will go into like a bank or whatever, a credit account, so they know what. How do they redeem it with Get Kudos?
They just get an incentive that tell them, here is your
Here's your
incentive.
$50
Here's your
incentive,
$50.
and
Go
then
use
on the
it.
Get Kudos side, they can mark it as redeemed whenever they.
I want to touch something you said because you called beauty banks, and it's
Yes,
actually
yeah.
it's a topic that actually I started to break a lot lately, especially more with Get Kudos more than anything. But
Yeah.
even analyzing people before that, all the analysis, data, P&Ls, all of it.
Yep. Yep.
People don't understand that there is beauty banks. As much as it's short term, looks cool because you're getting a lot more cash into your bank. None of it almost is yours. It's all liability. And
No,
it's a
I agree.
ticking bomb. It's a ticking bomb because sooner
Yes.
rather than later, you're going to want to recognize it, whether the
Right.
person came or did not. You're going to need to have a conversation, use it or lose it. That is a negative conversation. So the
Mm-hmm.
romanticize behind you, Jared, come to start to spend $150 every month to my practice and you're going to get those things. It's only good if you actually come and use that every
That's
month and
right.
then everybody happy. But if
That's
you
right.
don't, and it starts to accumulate and depends on the little asterisks that I put, how you going to feel about it. Jared, who wanted to commit and become super loyal and pay me every month,
Right.
becoming an upset customer is going to talk badly about me and I will never see him again.
It's
And
true.
I've seen that way too often. And some of
Mm-hmm.
them lost very significant patients that spend a lot of money over lifetime. And
Guys,
so,
this is exactly why I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast just yet.
no,
You have to track production revenue versus collections. You have to track your productions of how much revenue was produced from services, as well as how much money actually hit the bank. Because membership dues, gift cards, those are debts that you owe them. And people will collect $100,000 in membership dues for a month, and they'll sell $200,000 in production revenue, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, we made $300,000." It's like, no, you owe people $100,000. Like, you did not make 300 grand this month.
and you lose it
Tracking
in
production versus
valuation.
collection. Yeah, of
And you lose
course,
it in
because
valuation.
it looks like debt. Yeah, it looks like
I
debt.
know a practice that lost $500,000 from the valuation score. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
because
lost
it
a lot of
doesn't look like
multiplier.
it's just production revenue that they're tracking anyway. They're not
You
tracking
just
collections.
You're becoming a bank. You're just holding money for people. When they want to
Yeah,
come and use it, you can use it. And you need to
correct.
give it back if it's gift cards and stuff like
Right.
that. Like there is a lot of regulation also how you define that liabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that beauty banks is a big mistake. And I suggest everybody go check the law, right?
Yeah.
Don't just take Isaac's word about it.
Yeah.
But if you can avoid it, don't do it. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of the Amazon Prime, the Costco model. You're buying a status, you want to come to use it. Think about it. You bought it Amazon Prime. How often do
Sure.
you use Amazon Prime?
Right. All the time. I use it all the time.
All the
I
time.
get
You shop
I get
all
the next
around.
day delivery constantly. Yeah.
Exactly. You get an incentive, you get a perks, right? You have a benefit for being a member. You're an
Yeah.
Amazon Prime member. Give you some TV shows, give you all kind of stuff. Whatever it is that you choose to give
Right.
that makes sense from your margin and what positive activity you want them to do. But
Yeah.
if I wanted to give you 10% on my skincare line, in my opinion, if I'm the business owner and that's the decision I made, come
Hmm.
and shop for all your family as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. Why would I
Of
give you only
course.
$150 for that?
Of
Right?
course. Of
And
course.
so loyalty is a psychological aspect. It's not about obligation to force somebody. If they're not happy,
Yeah.
they will not come back. And you can try to charge them monthly. You're just going to lose a customer and potentially
Yeah.
going to lose reputation.
Yeah. 100%. I had a client that we built a new e-commerce presence for them. We switched them from WordPress, from WooCommerce over to Shopify. And part of that was going to be moving their gift card debts over from WooCommerce to Shopify. And Shopify was about to automatically send a, hey, by the way, your gift card has been moved. Here's how much you can redeem. And before we sent that, before we like locked that in, I told the account, I was like, hey, by the way, how much are we about to notify people? She goes, oh, there's like $500,000 worth of gift cards in there. And I was like, how do you feel about us telling every single person at once that they have that money available? They're like, we wouldn't survive if they all redeemed that. And I was like, well, then we've got a problem, don't we? if you're
I'll
not
tell you what's
saving
the
that money
bigger
in some
problem.
account.
The bigger problem, especially when it comes to gift card, and if they were defined as a gift card, it's never theirs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the amount of efforts you need to put and need to show that you try to give it back to the patient, whoever bought it,
Right.
the amount of record that you need to keep in order to show that then you can recognize about 10% of it
Crazy.
is crazy. It's
Insane.
crazy. I always say in 4S when we speak about P&Ls and liabilities and balance sheets and stuff, never sell gift cards. Never. You can do store
Yeah.
credit. And in some states, you even need to do that strict. Like store credit in Florida is very different than a store credit in California from the
Yeah.
asterisks that you can put of expiration, when you recognize it.
Right.
And ultimately, you want to move it to revenue eventually, right? You want
Of
to
course.
own that
That's the
money.
whole goal, is how do we get a service sold here? Yeah.
Correct.
A
Or
hundred
else you're
percent.
stuck with it. Yeah. Or else you
Yeah.
get stuck with it.
So what we've chatted about today is how do we increase that retention rate on average. We talked about the average clinic right now gets like 50% and probably a little bit lower. Like the mom and pop up the street,
Yeah.
it's probably a little bit lower on average. But if you're going to be a thriving clinic, you should be hitting somewhere north of 60 to 65% if you're going to be crushing. And one way that you can increase that retention rate, and by the way, you can track that retention rate maybe through your EMR, or you can start tracking rebooking rates to get a little bit of an estimate there. But one way that you can increase that is through using a software like Get Kudos, where you are texting people back, texting people to remind them of new things that you guys have coming up, where you've got like a reward system that's built into it, where you're having them send reviews or whatever, but you're creating raving fans. And so I think a software like this is critical, and it's really not there really isn't like a tracking software for this. There's a lot of CRMs that will send an auto text after that says, oh, please give us a review. It's not
Yeah.
tracking referrals and all of that stuff. So
Correct.
I think the power that you've got here within Get Kudos is really, really cool. And I think this could benefit a lot of clinics, especially if they're seeing a really low retention rate currently.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to work with Get Kudos, do you guys have like a 30-day trial or a 15-day trial or something like that for them to get
Yeah.
started?
We give 30 days to everybody that starts. We do with that free software setup, implementation, the customization that they need, put their logo on it. And we
Mm-hmm.
also give a free marketing kit that's worth about $1,500. That will cover for them the banner for the website, email campaigns, social media posts, and
Awesome.
banner designs for the practice. With ultimately, we say unlimited revisions. Our designers are amazing. Normally, it doesn't take more than once or twice. So
That's awesome.
we give all of that for them. Then we do soft launch only in the practice, see how it goes. Everybody feel comfortable with that. And then we go hard launch. And that's where they send email campaigns and we roll hundreds of patients into that. And they start to see the rebook rates and the calendar is just getting full. And
That
I'll
is
give you just
awesome.
simple analysis, right, of what's different between what retention fix or save, right? And we can, everybody can translate it to whatever money they need. But if you need to book your calendar is 100 people, and you go to marketing and you need to spend money to get 100 people through the door, and out of those 100, only 50 will retain. The next month, you're going to need to get another 50, right? Assuming that they come every month, right? I'm going to use easy math over here. If you can retain 75% of them, then you spend half of the amount that you needed to spend already the next month.
It's true.
And from there, you're going to be already overbooked by the third month. And so this is really how the retention rate works. It's not just about keeping your customer. It's about spending so much less on what you're spending today to continue to grow. And that's really where they see the impact.
That's awesome. And it's really an organic channel. So like we've talked about this too, where when you're attracting new patients, there's paid channels and there's organic channels. The paid channels, you're going to pay the same amount per lead every single time, and you're always going to pay that amount per lead. The organic channels, you're building momentum so that over time your spend goes down dramatically. If it's SEO, if it's social media, your spend should be going down because you already have the speed. And in this case, with Get Kudos or a referral program, it might technically cost more per patient in the very beginning, but over months, it's just like it's going down and down and down in costs compared to the ROI you're getting out of it. So building that kind of momentum, it's critical. It's critical for every practice owner. This is awesome. This is awesome. Well, Izhak, this has been so great, guys. We've talked about when we talk about that whole entire patient funnel, we talk about fascination being getting eyeballs on your business. Then we talk about acquisition being turning those eyeballs into a lead, conversion being selling that lead, and then engagement being recycling that lead up to the top over and over for years to come. And that's exactly what we've talked about today, is how do you re-engage and how do you keep those patients engaged? So if you're struggling at in any way with patient retention, or you have done the math and realized, oh my gosh, I'm below 50% for retention rate, Get Kudos could be an incredible solution for you in order to beef up that retention rate. So Izhak, and then how do they, is it getkudos.com? Is that the
GetKudos.ai, or they can just go to Google and search Get Kudos AI, and we're going to be number one for them.
Perfect. GetKudos.ai. Well, thanks, Izhak, for joining us. I appreciate taking the time and adding value to our audience. I'm sure retention rate is something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. So it's really cool, I think, for our audience at least, to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even consider that I should be fighting to retain those patients. So very grateful that you joined us today. Of course,
appreciate the opportunity, and thanks for sharing. That was a great discussion. I love it.
Yeah, I think so too. And thank you everybody for listening to the Patient Magnet podcast. Once again, my name is Jared Rohr, joined by Izhak from Get Kudos, and I'm the CEO and founder of Aesthetic Conversion, a web and SEO agency. So thank you guys. If you guys disagree with anything that we talked about today, or you agree, please throw a comment down below. We'd love to fight you down there. Throw a like on there. Subscribe if you're on Spotify or YouTube. Please subscribe so that we can get those numbers and see who's actually engaging and what content is valuable to who. And that's it. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.